Is this sort of some kind of existential answer to the glut of superheroes on TV? Is it a way of kind of sort of gently mocking the world of that world that we never see, the kind of the shitty mop-ups?
It's not in no way mocks. In fact, one of the first things I talked about when we pitched the show was the superheroes in this world are the gods. They are they should feel like they do in those movies and shows. It's really just about finding a new part of the universe to show. Like, what is it like to just be a normal person with no powers, living in this world of gods? And what would it be like to do your punishing cubicle existence when you know outside the window there are people that can fly and turn invisible, you know? Or stop bullets with their penis, you know?
True story, guys.
True story. And then in addition to that, how do you get to work in the morning? You know, when there's rubble falling from the sky and there's tidal waves caused by Aquaman, or have you already told your boss? Do you basically have these things built into your commute? Like getting into the minutia of what it would be like to just be us, you know?
Like in a regular show, you'd look around the corner, the hero and the villain would whip around the corner in the air, someone would toss a fireball, it would explode into a side of a building, glass would come down, someone else would pick up a car, throw it down the building, and then it would go around, the camera would follow them around the corner. And for us, we see them come around the corner. Our camera doesn't go around the corner with the heroes, it stays there with the person who's, you know, the place where they get their bagel in the morning was just set on fire, and they're like, where am I going to get a bagel now?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good scene. We should do that.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The bagel shop gets set on fire.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the process about putting superheroes in the modern world? We heard about the Uber surge pricing every time there's a... like, how did you
Well, it kind of, frankly comes from trying to connect our life to that world, finding the relatable things. You know what I mean? Like, I live in Los Angeles, and there are helicopters, police helicopters that fly over my house a lot, you know, and I just don't even think about it anymore. And I think for these people in this world, it would be the same thing with super battles outside. It would just be like second nature to them. They would just turn the blinds and go back to work. Like in the pilot, there's that scene where a supervillain breaks into the airwaves and interrupts their work, and they all just mute their computers and go back to work. It's just life for them, you know. And I think finding that relatable way in is, I think people will be very relaxed watching the show. I think it'll feel like a workplace show to them. You know what I mean? No, I don't think it takes any work. I think you immediately relate to it.
Do you plan?
Relaxed is the wrong word. I get it.
No, I think
it's really fun.
Guys, just chill out and watch our show.
Yeah.
Do you plan or want to bring any particular characters in from the comics?
Well, everything we've asked for so far, we've been able to get, and so we're able to basically name check or reference anything in the DCU, which is really helpful and fun. But we're set in Charm City, which is a very specific, smaller city in the DCU, and the idea is to get sort of an underdog city. It helps, I think, the underdog quality of the show, although it feels like any other city, Metropolis, Gotham, in terms of the things that happen to people, regular people.
Is there a sense maybe that because you're not in Gotham City or Metropolis that you can tap the bigger sphere, that maybe Superman isn't the first response in Charm City, but actually it's the Wonder Twins, or it's somebody that doesn't sit at the very top of that kind of DC pyramid?
Well, they have their own heroes that deal with things that they're used to. So they have, you know, Crimson Fox, who is not as well known as Superman, but it's still there to protect them. So they have their own thing. In the same way that, like, no one who lives in, you know, whoever lives in Buffalo isn't worried that the mayor of New York isn't coming to solve their problems. They have their own guy who's going to solve their problems.
Yeah, but they might have a little chip on their shoulder, you know, like I'm from Baltimore, and we have Josh Charles. He's from Baltimore. I love Josh Charles.
And whenever we're in trouble, Josh Charles comes.
That's right.
Yeah. But he's all you have.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about how you put together the cast of the show?
It was basically, we got very lucky. That's how we put it together. We went after great people that we love, and they, thank God, said yes, because they're so good.
And they're great together too.
Yeah.
They're a really interesting mix of different backgrounds, obviously, with Vanessa and Danny and Alan and Christina, etc., and Ron. And they all sort of come together and each bring their own sort of distinct way of being funny, and they're distinct part to the show as well. So they're really great. They make a really interesting and funny community unto themselves.
Good. You got the word community in there. Good.
Oh yeah, Dave Harmon is on his payroll.
That's right.
Ron had said that he pitched his own character. Were there any other people that did similar things like that, or
no? The script was written and we cast it, and then we added Ron for the second episode. And meeting him was great because he was like, his sweetness and optimism was exactly what we wanted for that character, which was, he's very different from the other characters in that he still has that childlike enthusiasm for superheroes, whereas everyone else is more, you know? So it's a fun contrast.
I mean, a lot of comic book geeks often like wonder like what it would be like to live in that world, and now you're going to tell them what that's like. But I was wondering, for people who are not into comic books and maybe not that into so much into superheroes, what will they get out of this show?
The show it's about what it's like. How do you empower yourself when you have no power? There's a very very strong thematic that's built into the story from the beginning. It's really about empowerment, and it's about the little guy battling the big guy. It's about what it's like to go up against a tough boss every week. I think everybody can relate to that in some way. It's about what it's like to be born into a world where you're not the rich person.
Where you don't have the reins and you don't pull the strings.
But what was the original spark? What was that moment where you went, hey, this should be a series?
I've been a comic fan my whole life, and I've always loved the DC universe, and I've always wanted to live in it, you know, and it's all around us now, so it's kind of unescapable, that idea. And I do think that idea of like feeling powerless, that feeling, and like how do you empower yourself, I think is a really fun, strong, emotional way to get into a story. So I just think it'd be a fun concept for a show.